get very interesting. Excuse me, because as I see, Sanctuary starts for both. In bracket stages, we're going to see some more stuff get introduced, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to.
Yep, we got a double Sanctuary star there. So we are in sync, and in sync with the sprites as well. We've got a Rainbow Link sprites for both of our runners here today, as we are heading up into the Lost Woods to begin our overworld checks at the start.
NinTaylor takes a sign out to the guard, going for which will be the way to go for a tree pull. Gem taking the more traditional route of just bopping the enemy that's there with the sign, and then pulling the tree. Just recovery hearts and arrows from the butt.
Sign, sign, everywhere a sign. Clogging up the scenery, drop in my mind. Ooh, did I just see something at the cave, or at the lumberjack cave? Let's take another look there. Oh, that's just a compass. I thought that was the bottom of a mirror for a second.
Yeah, I had to do a double take just to be sure myself, but with that being a compass means we don't have to go back for it. I mean, sure, it would help, but not so much. And speaking of help, here's a map. Now, these will tell you, well, maybe not that map, but the maps will tell you what's a pennant and what's a crystal.
That is correct there. The overworld map does not tell you what a dungeon is before you go into it, but we've got our first progression item. We have the gloves. That is part 1 of our Dark World access.
Whoa, there's part 2, a hammer.
That is right there. So we're just a moon pearl away from having our Dark World access right out of the bat, and we haven't even gotten to Kakariko yet. But looks like Gem saved and quit back to Link's house where the hammer was, as you mentioned. But now we're going to be checking out, let's see, it looks like we're going to the dam instead of to Kakariko proper, and then probably from there onward to Mini Moldorm Cave and possibly Ice Rod Cave after that.
Well, NinTaylor stuck with it. Oh, while Gem picks up the bow, NinTaylor found our level 2 tree pull, and our level 2 tree pull was 20 rupees. Really good. I see NinTaylor's farming a 50-50 bomb spot.
Gotta have those bombs to access those couple chests in Kakariko, but Gem already is at 20 rupees, and NinTaylor has farmed up enough money to go to the bottle vendor already. But Gem decides he doesn't need any bottles. He's going to pick up some green goo from the bottom of the lake.
Well, that'll give him Sick Kid access once he goes to Kakariko. Speaking of Kakariko, NinTaylor finds so far 25 rupees. A compass to Misery Mire. Now, the compass in this mode has an interesting feature. It'll tell you how many chests you have left to open in a particular dungeon. And we got ourselves Lord Banana, which the game calls the best boomerang if you're looking at hint times.
Pretty much. It's always a nice thing to have there. This is hard mode, so unfortunately the boomerang does not stun in this mode. In addition, hard mode also nerfs a lot of the recovery options. There are less total hearts in the game. The farthest you can go is Blue Mail and Tempered Sword and Fire Shield, and also potions heal less amounts of health and magic.
NinTaylor picks up the Quake Medallion. Now, if you're looking for stun options in hard, Quake is certainly one, as there are some enemies that will get stunned by that. The hard half beetles being one of them, and there's also, on top of it, a few others that I can't think of off the top of my head, but NinTaylor does pick up a heart container.
Heart containers are especially valuable in hard mode because there are 5 less of them in total compared to... Ooh, we got something for... Oh, I didn't catch what that was.
That was the Swamp Palace Big Key, as Gem gets an 8-bomb drop from the Castle Guard. Nice.
Yeah, NinTaylor's having to buy bombs, although that's not the worst situation in the world. It's much easier to save your money for the inevitable Zora check later on. And he's going into Chicken Hut as well, going to be checking that out, while Gem checks the race game. What we have on the race game today is...
A mirror.
A mirror, very interesting to have. Well, so we've got the bow to start out. We've got a hammer and gloves to start out as well. So that's sort of pointing me towards Eastern Palace right now. We can't get into the Desert Palace just yet, and although with the mirror, once we get the logical access to Death Mountain through the lamp, then we can, or the flute, we can get up and go to Hera. But I mean, while you can sequence break your way in there, the game is not expecting you to do so just yet.
Yep, and Taylor sees the news and is going to claim the mirror as Gem is now heading into Kakariko. There is a small key at the library, so that is something our runners are going to want to come back for once they have the boots, because it could be that elusive desert or swamp small key, or it could be a key for Palace of Darkness. It could be anything.
It could be a Ganon's Tower key. It could be an Ice Palace key, something that is technically not needed, given that everyone knows how to bomb jump these days. But we don't know just yet. But Gem is turning in Sick Kid, and the Sick Kid has in his secret stash today the lantern. So now we have access to Death Mountain logically, as well as not having to deal with any pesky dark rooms.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I dare say Death Mountain's looking pretty good right now.
So there are no keys inside of Eastern Palace inside of chests. All of them are just found normally in the dungeon as well. So we could do Eastern Palace, or we could go up to Tower of Hera in terms of dungeons. There's nothing else really blocking us at this point there, although the extra location checks at up Death Mountain and Tower of Hera might be a bit more tempting than just going to the Eastern Palace area of the map.
Yeah, at this point, it's really a coin flip as NinTaylor picks up the hammer on his end. Because at this point, the randomizer could be wanting you to go to Eastern, it could be wanting you to go to Death Mountain, or it could be doing what NinTaylor's doing and heading towards the castle.
Yeah, NinTaylor checked out the back side of Escape, but we have not checked the front side yet, and we have yet to check out the rest of South Shore aside from the dam.
Surprised our runners have not checked Mini Moldorm Cave as of yet, and sorry NinTaylor, Boomerang's not going to work on those enemies today.
Not today, this is indeed hard mode. So we got that guard decided to look the other way and walk out of the path, but Uncle only has 10 arrows. Hopefully that's not what the guard shot him with.
That would be pretty mean.
Alright, Gem finishes up with Kakariko, is saving and quitting back to Sanctuary. So where will Gem go from here, do you think?
I'm gonna say, yep, exactly. Right before I could even say it, back of Escape.
Yep, as the SuperNinTaylor has already checked that, so we know there's not all that much interesting in there. But it is definitely 3 chests, which is worth picking up.
Well, probably the most notable thing, the Eastern Compass, as well as a Heart Container. Heart Containers being really good in hard mode. I've only had one hard mode race, and I had fun with it. It was still a pretty close race, and I'd be open to doing more of those in the future after the tournament ends. Just saying.
Yep, and looks like Gem is heading right towards the front of Escape as well. Going to be following in SuperNinTaylor's footsteps. I'm trying to see what else Gem has checked that SuperNinTaylor has not. I think they've done most of it in terms of just following in each other's footsteps so far, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The big difference here is that NinTaylor has yet to go to the dam.
Ooh, that's right. NinTaylor does not have that bow yet. That is correct. Now, I'm not sure if that would be influencing their routing any, but it's certainly good to know.
Oh, and the ball and chain guard going down with 2 hits from the hammer is pretty sweet. Now it's a heart container in Zelda's cell, but all in all, I'd call that pretty darn good when you consider how little health there is in a hard mode C.
Yes, we are already at 6 hearts, which is a pretty good thing to start out with at the present moment. Looks like NinTaylor is heading towards the dam right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, he'll get his
We'll be getting that bow, and maybe we'll get our first look at the southeastern section of Hyrule as well.
Yep, that's what I'm hoping for. Just see here, there's probably some good stuff in Mini Moldorm Cave. We just haven't seen it yet.
Quite possibly, well, we won't know until we see, but given that NinTaylor is just finishing up the dam right now, after he picks up this bottle, where is he going to go? If he's heading east, it's most likely a Mini Moldorm check, and that seems to be the case. Meanwhile, Gem is finishing up the escape sequence. But inside of the Mini Moldorm Cave, we're gonna take out these Moldorms to open the door, but we don't have any sword just yet, so arrows will have to do, or perhaps the hammer in a pinch. But this Moldorm does not want to move out of the way. He's just been playing dodgeball. But inside, we are going to have compass, Dark Palace compass. We got 50 rupees. The Cane of Samaria. Now there's a good find.
Always a good find. And a small key to Turtle Rock. Now, Jem having the mirror as well as the lamp, he is going for the Dark Cross. We're going to see what's in that room.
Interesting. Inside the Dark Cross, we are going to wait till we actually get to that room first. But meanwhile, NinTaylor is heading over towards Ice Rod Cave. This is a little bit out of the way, but is definitely not a place you want to orphan while you're checking out the rest of this zone of the map. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait till the flute before you can get a easy access back to it.
And it's just Couch Cash at the Dark Cross. Move right along. Yeah, I've seen a number of races where somebody made the mistake of not checking Ice Rod Cave, and it wound up costing them.
It's always the last place you look before you go, before you find the item that you want. But Ice Rod Cave just has a map. That's not terribly interesting, so we're moving on. Jim is heading up towards, looks like the Death Mountain entrance. If I'm not mistaken. Yep. Yes, we are going, looks like we are going up to the Death Mountain to check out what lies within.
Yep, but he gets the Tier 2 tree pull for 80 rupees. NinTaylor, on the other hand, is indecisive at the moment.
We've got a lot of options ahead of us here. But honestly, with being able to check out Spectacle Rock and its tile, that seems to be the most optimal play for right now, as well as the Old Man and anything else we can pick up along the way.
As well as dodging the usual Death Mountain fallen boulders. And there's a key in his pocket. Second one for Turtle Rock that we've seen.
Now, Turtle Rock is interesting because there are 4 keys to Turtle Rock, and you need 3 of them to get to Trinex there, and 4 to clear the dungeon. If you go into Turtle Rock with only 3 keys, you're given the choice of being able to check the last chest in Turtle Rock, or going to Trinex's room. You can't do both with just 3 keys, so getting as many Turtle Rock keys early is always a good thing.
Well, this is interesting. NinTaylor's going for Darkroom strats.
Interesting. Well, we know that the lamp is in, whatever's on Dark Mountain is in logic because we found the lamp already on Gem's side, and Gem finds the cape inside of the Spectacle Rock area, and setting up for a bomb jump to go back, but does not make it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a 2-pixel window to hit that particular bomb jump without the boots, and unfortunately, Gem was off by 1 pixel.
Oh, unfortunate. But SuperNinTaylor has made it up to Death Mountain to join Gem. Now, while we're up here, let's see if they decide to go for the Tower of Hera, because we do have that mirror to access it. We can't get into the basement just yet, so we'll have to take a little bit of a small gamble to see if we can actually progress up the tower or not, and if there's something, or alternatively, if there's an item locked in the basement that we can't get to just yet.
And if we are able to get to the basement, only Gem can get there because Gem has the fire source and Taylor does not. But Gem does pick up the rupee hoard that's on Spectacle Rock. I like that play because that gives you money for Zora as well as entering Palace of Dart.
That is correct. That takes care of a lot of the rupee requirements so far in the seed. There's one item in the first room of Tower of Hera, so that's one of the 2, I believe, items that are in Hera. Yes, there are two. Well, actually, there's more possibly because this is Key Sanity. But we get the flippers inside of the lobby.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that because that's progression. Now you don't have to worry about setting up fake flipper and those consequences of taking a death when that happens off the table.
That is correct there, and we've got the hammer, so we can actually access the left side of, the east side of Death Mountain as well. Can't get too much, but we can at least get to. I believe, can we take the long way around to the Paradox Cave?
Yep, a bit of a slow ride to get through Spiral Cave, but it could be worth.
It's one of those one-offs, so you just have to remember that exists. Death Mountain have a lot of these little small caves that have 1 or 2 items in it, and you have to make sure you don't forget any of them. Yeah. And I guess we should add that that we couldn't get up much more of Tower of Hera without the big key anyway, as chat points out. But only $5 is inside of Spiral Cave, but we are now back down at the bottom and should be able to get to the east side in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, this is going to be the big pickup for now because Paradox Cave having 7 items in it total. Yeah, you're going to want to clean this up. You could get progression. You can get swords. Like the first of these races that I called wound up having a 3-sword Paradox Cave. I doubt we'll ever see that again, but you never know. That's random.
The Cave of Pointy Objects. Well, there's our first sword and the Moon Pearl, so we now have full Dark World access now.
Yep, and Taylor pulls up the cape to escape that room. Good strategy, but be warned, in hard mode, cape takes a lot more magic to use, even if half magic were to be found somewhere. Oh, no!
Ooh.
Taylor runs out of magic and takes a death in the Death Mountain overworld. And
that's going to be rough. All the way back to the old man. Gem finds the big key to Misery Mire, so that's another dungeon that will become full clearable once we are able to enter it in the first place and get across the gap. But, get to the boss, I should say.
We're about to see a hype cave on Gem's side, but for NinTaylor, that's about a 2-minute time loss, that particular death with this item setup. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, and no magic to use the cape a second time either as well. But Gem is our first person into the Dark World, so we are going to see what's in that hype cave that's just right next door.
Missed with the bomb placement. Got it the second time, though.
Alright, the fox has 10 arrows, the bombs, a key to where? A third key to Turtle Rock, so we can now get to Trinex but we can't full clear the dungeon just yet. Not that we're able to even set foot into it right now, but it's definitely a weight off our mind because now that we can go and not have to worry about keys for the most part.
Is Gem about to route Mini Moldorm Cave in? Oh, yes.
That's an interesting thing to do, get a lot of the chest caches out back to back like this.
Yeah, you're not always able to do this, and it's not something that I try to set up for particularly due to the amount of times that Mini Moldorm Cave has progression. But when you're able to set it up, why not? Because this is a bit of a time save.
That is correct, and he's going to be picking up his Cane of Samaria in just a moment after he gets all these other goodies as well. What this thief is doing with the cane, we'll never know.
Probably some things that he would plead the fifth to in a courtroom.
Okay, we won't go into that any further. But now that we've gotten all these items, we have our full Dark World access. We've got a lot open to us right now. We have not found any Palace of Darkness keys, so we can't really get all that far into it, but we do have the bow to access the entire Bowlock section. So it's going to look like we're going to be checking out some more overworld locations, looking for some more keys.
And the Blind Island pickup is just 20 rupees.
The one thing we can do is that we can go check Hobo and then be able to check Catfish and Zora at the same time, as well as whatever's in Waterfall Cave and Zora Ledge.
This might seem a little obscure, but it looks to me like Gem is going for the hint tile that's in this corner, along with Ice Rod Cave. Now, this could be big for Gem if it turns out to be a hint that points to something needed. Now, if it's a developer hint, I almost called it a community hint out of Force of Habit from Zelda 1 Rando, then that could be big news.
We get info from the bomb vendor that Misery Mire and Skull Woods are our 5-6 crystals for today.
And we've got Bombos held with the fishes, so 500 rupee price for the Bombos medallion, and that could very much be worth it.
Well, could that be on Catfish instead, possibly?
I've always referred to Catfish as the grumpy fish, because in the vanilla game, the Catfish is usually the grump. But that definitely makes the northeast corner of the Dark World the overworld in its whole, quite valuable to clean up.
Yes, indeed. And SuperNinTaylor is going to pick up the 50 rupees. That's going to give him 600 total to be able to get into Zora's stash, and as well as get into Palace of Darkness later on. We still need a few more rupees to pay out to pick up Kiki in the first place, but that should be just pocket change compared to what we need overall. And SuperNinTaylor is also going to be checking out the digging game as well.
Gem took a portal to get up to the northeast quickly. Looks like he's about to cash in on that hint.
Now, we do not know currently whether any of those medallions are required for Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, but having 2 out of 3 without going into it blind is a good safety net to have for yourself.
And without Boots here, Gem won't be able to set up a quick portal, and that's a map. For Maya. And the fishes, yep, it indeed was Catfish, so Zora could still be a big scam.
But we find the Swamp Palace key inside of the Waterfall Cave, the one and only key that's in a chest for there, so that is going to give us access to the rest of the dungeon. So that's a big thing to have out of the way.
Yo, it really is, and that almost kind of points to Swamp Palace as having something. The only question is, where's the hook shot as Taylor gets the lamp?
Yeah, we will definitely need that hookshot for a lot of things here. The back half of Swamp Palace, definitely one of those major things to consider.
As chat mentioned, Vanilla Hook is a possibility, and, well, that would be just trolling for Randomizer. That's not what you're expecting, but, ooh, both fish had something good today, as Zora has the boots. Gotta go fast.
Yes, indeed. That is definitely worth the price of admission, because that is going to unlock that mystery key we saw on the library, as well as a lot of other places where boots isn't technically required, but makes traversing the overworld a lot easier, and will also unlock all the other bonk spots, as well as be a substitute for Sakina Samari if you want to get into Misery Mire.
Oh, absolutely, because now the Dark Chapel area can be fully explored between both the Dark and Light world.
So we are still needing possibly the Ether Medallion. We don't know yet. We still need both of the rods, and we still need the hook shot. And, well, we don't have the Titan's Mitts to get inside to Misery Mire just yet, so we're going to need that, and possibly need the boots at some point. I'm sorry, the book at some point, if we don't find the Titan's Mitts early.
Well, we'd also need the flute to be able to get into, well, the back half of Mire. Well, to even get into Mire as well as Desert. Man, I'm just tripping on my words.
We're still... Yeah, and we'll also need a pile of keys alongside of that as well. But we've still got a ways to go, but we've made a good start on our necessary items for this seed so far.
That's a good point in chat. We don't know if we need Ice Rod, but my attitude towards Ice Rod, especially for Randomizer, is that you're gonna need it until you find out that you don't need it. I'd take that same logic into Key Sanity until you know for sure what dungeons work.
That's true, and we've got SuperNinTaylor heading into Thieves Town right now. 4 easy chests to grab off the top of there, and we see that Palace of Darkness is a crystal from the map check from Gem. I thought Skull Woods was a red crystal.
I saw a red pen. Yeah, well, maybe. Well, yeah, Podmas Crystal, I saw Mire Crystal, well, and that was a key to Ganon's Tower. Now, to climb the tower fully, you need 1 small key and the Ganon's Tower big key, and that key could be anywhere in the game, within logic.
That is correct. That is the one major thing that we're going to be looking for, because many a Key Sanity seed has been stalled out just looking for that Ganon's Tower big key, because as you mentioned, it can be literally at any place in the world except for the Ganon's Tower big chest. And that's a whopping 215 possible locations to look through.
Well, not so fast on that. The upper locations is where it cannot be as well.
Yep, that's correct as well. So that knocks off a few over there, but you're still looking at a lot of locations. Alright, so SuperNinTaylor is inside of Skull Woods right now. I'm going to be checking out the chest inside of here. And we find our Master Sword inside Skull Woods as well. That is going to be quite useful.
Well, that's also the minimum sword you need to complete the game, so that does count as progression. And then Taylor wasting no time going for the back chest, which is much easier to do when you have Kena Samaria.
Oh, that's easy. You don't have to worry about dragging around that statue and dodging all the Gibdos and Wall Masters and all that stuff. You can just put something on the button and go straight back to that chest, which we have a big key to Ice Palace. Not something that we're going to require, because if you know how to bomb jump in Ice Palace, you don't need that big key.
Well, even those of us who know how to bomb jump have days where we just don't hit it. I mean, it could happen to any of us.
Yep, that is true. So we've got each other swapping dungeons right now. We've got Gem inside of Thieves Town and SuperNinTaylor inside of inside of Skull Woods. We're not even close to Palace of Darkness just yet. And we found the bug net inside. Interesting.
Well, in hard mode, you're not able to catch fairies with the bug net, but it does still have a few uses. Like, if you're going for swagging them strats, that's the item you want. Oh, hey, the Palace of Darkness big key could we be seeing a Palace of Darkness play in our near future?
Well, let's see here. We've got the big key to it, and we've got 2 small keys at the moment. So that will give us partial access to the inside of Palace of Darkness. And we've got the bow to access the bowlock side. So we've got plenty of choices available to us if we wanted to go that route.
Yeah, and if you really wanted to, you could just go the bowlocked route, use 1 small key, and go, and you'd have enough to get to the boss, is what I'm trying to say, is you need 1 and 2. If my memory is right on that.
I'd have to look the exact number up because I'm drawing a blank on that at the present moment. Chat is saying about either 3 or 4 keys if you have the bow and can hammer jump, but we'll have to see. Looks like SuperNinTaylor is heading back up to Death Mountain.
No,
bumper cave because we saw the Titan's mitts.
That is a required bumper cave for the Titans mix. Good turn by Nintaylor to pick this up, and you've got enough magic to be able to pull this off. Without the hook shot, mind you, it is possible.
Yep, that's right. You can just eke along through that ledge and just escape through the bumper, and we've got our Titan Smiths for SuperNinTaylor. That's going to be a big advantage if Gem doesn't end up checking that out later, sooner rather than later.
Looks like Nintaylor's heading for the above the pose. We'll see what's there at the graveyard ledge.
That's right. So we were able to check the graveyard ledge, and I believe, can we check King's Tomb without the boots? If we just have, no, I believe we need the boots to be able to ram the. That's right. We need the gloves to get in there if we didn't have the mirror, hypothetically, and we would just need the boots to actually access the grave itself.
Unfortunately, Nintaylor placed that portal too close to the cave door and had to remirror because you can't spawn in the wall.
That is correct. So let's see where Nintaylor decides to go from here. Looks like we're taking a swim and possibly going up to the Zora area where he'll be able to pick up his boots and his Quake Medallion.
It was Bombos this time, but it's Quake in the vanilla game. Ooh,
my mistake
making the same play.
Well, SuperNinTaylor will be happy to find that, whereas his Gem is going up, discovered the mitts on bumper ledge as well. So a good check there, and we'll be able to get through no problem and be able to have that Titan's mitts.
Whoops, a bit of a misfire on that throw, but it's all good.
I don't know about you, but personally, I like throwing the sign into the Quakefish if I could have the extra time to do so. But that's just being fancy. The skull or the bush will do just fine.
Yeah, the NMG routing takes that first bush in because after jumping down from that ledge, Link actually moves a bit faster.
Oh, always interesting. Now, all right. So Gem is finishing up the graveyard ledge as well as, but we'll also be able to check out that King's Tomb because he has got the boots that SuperNinTaylor is going to be finding about momentarily.
Yep, we shall see. King's Tomb could be something big, could be a dud, and if it's something big, then advantage Gem.
Well, we're going to be finding out in just a moment, actually. Let's see what is inside, and we got the mirror move just right. Meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor has picked up his boots. He's going to be exiting the Zora area, ignoring the piece of heart, most likely. But the King's Tomb just has a heart container. While useful, is not exactly progression. Oh, SuperNinTaylor decides to pick up the piece of heart after all. Every little piece of health is a is an extra little bit of advantage in survivability.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason NinTaylor picks that up is because that was his fourth.
Indeed, we are now sitting at 7 hearts for SuperNinTaylor. Now, where is Gem going to go from here? That's the big question. We are heading along the north side of Hyrule, heading towards the Dark Kakariko. I believe he's already cleaned out most of it, if I'm not mistaken. But with that Titansmiths, we can actually now get into the Smith's Chain.
Yep, whereas NinTaylor is backtracking to have a visit with the hobo.
I don't believe we've seen the hobo just yet, if I'm correct.
First visit. Skullwood's compass.
Alright, meanwhile, Gem is doing the hammer pegs before turning into Smith. I say turning into Smith like someone is just going to be sitting around waiting to put the Smith in their pockets. No, it'll be returning the Smith home to where he belongs.
I believe NinTaylor might be going for Swamp Palace here.
He's definitely in the area, and this would be our first major dip into a dungeon, if so. Gem picks up 300 rupees from the Smiths. We've got some counterfeiters today, but it looks like we are going to be having the purple chest right now, going from counterfeiters to thieves. Gem is doing the black market route of the game.
Looks like he's doing the quick version of the purple chest.
Meanwhile, NinTaylor checks out the pyramid. There's nothing interesting on there today. I only got a quick glimpse of it there. It looked like some rupees, but I didn't get an exact look at it. So, NinTaylor is heading towards the eastern palace quadrant of the map. We might decide to make Pod the first major dungeon dip of this seed.
We have not seen Sahasrara either. There could be a mirror in there along the way.
Would be a good thing to check just for the extra 3 chests. And yep, we're pulling out our mirror. We're going back to the light world, and let's see what our good pal Sasha has in store for us today.
Hera is our green pendant for this seed.
Ooh, that could be interesting. It may be required, or if something's in Sasha's pocket, it may not be. We've got the big key to Hera along with inside of his closet.
Well, that's interesting.
It is indeed interesting. You wonder if something actually is in there, or if we're just being set up for a long troll.
It would be one heck of a long troll if that were the case, because Green Pendant being there as well. Could Sahasrara have something at this point?
I would love it if that were the case, to be honest, but we don't know at this point. Alright, so NinTaylor is inside a Palace of Darkness right now. Just finds a compass inside the first chest. So we're going to have to spend one of our keys or go in the right side. But he opts up to spend the key, unlocks the front door, and is going to be checking out the rest. Now, we can get into this section through the bone-locked area, so maybe not the best key use there, but we'll see how it goes. But we find a vanilla key in the dungeon to boot.
And Gem picks up the map for Desert Palace in the first section of the Hyrule Castle Tower, which you just need one key to access both chests, FYI.
We have not seen any of the Castle Tower keys as of yet, so we can only check that first chest. But even so, alright, Vanilla Key for Pod on NinTaylor's side is giving us a little bit more of extended stay inside the dungeon, so we're gonna have to see what else we find in here.
Gem's going for Hobo. And And Goma's not in this game unless you're referencing the Switch statue in Pod, which might as well be the closest thing to a Goma that you're going to find in this game.
Yeah, Goma is taking this game off there, unless you decide to count Argus or something like that. But we've got a lot of eyeball monsters, but no buggy eyeball monsters.
Fair enough, even though Argus is... Oh, Fire Rod for SuperNinTaylor, nice. Although, to be fair, Argus kind of reminds me more of Patra from Zelda 1.
You're not wrong. That Fire Rod pickup is going to be very interesting, so that gives us a second fire source, a ranged one as well, but most importantly will give us access to the back of Skull Woods.
And that could be something in the chest there, could be for Mothula, and we don't have a hammer yump set up, we just have bombing the wall open.
We may be coming up to that hammer yump later, or we may just not do it, although I kind of doubt it at this point, but we'll see.
Now, hammer yump is not an easy jump to pull off out of the bomb jumps because it is double pixel perfect. Link's position and the position of the bomb both have to be on the correct pixel. And pause buffers are a way of setting up as our save and quit buffers.
And he gets the hammer yump and gets another small key to Ganon's Tower. Not what he was hoping for, but we get to save a Palace of Darkness key by not having to open the door to the Dark Maze.
Yep. Just gotta be leery of the Kadongos in here.
Given that the qualifying rounds for this tournament is narrowed everything down to the top 96 players, I'm not surprised that SuperNinTaylor can hammer yump at the slightest. A lot of our players can do it, but it's still tricky even if you know how, as you were mentioning.
Yeah, it's one of those that I have to sit down and learn myself, but it's coming. Just don't know when yet.
Alright, SuperNinTaylor has decided he's done checking out Palace of Darkness, checks out everything that he can, and is going to take his Fire Rod and leave back over to Eastern Palace, which we can now full clear. Given that there's no keys to Eastern Palace, we have the bow to finish off the Igors, and although we don't have the big key yet to access the back.
That being said, there's still 4 chests that can be opened here.
Yeah, that is correct. And while you're in the pod area, we might as well check this. And we got another key to the pod as well. Do we take the portal and go right back in? There's the question.
Why not at this point? I'd do it.
One time, a friend and I set up a custom randomizer there, which required continually jumping back and forth between Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace for each other's keys. But that's neither here nor there, and I don't think we'll get that luck with the randomizer today.
Yeah, but Jem took a hit from the baby Helmasaur, appeared to be going down the pit, but clipped through the bottom of the rail. Nice save. But indeed. Yeah, accidental clip indeed. Now, somebody could accidentally on purpose clip that if you get my drift, because that was awesome.
It's always nice to see. And we got a... I have to double check that hit. What was it that was held by someone friendly?
I did not catch it, but Jem missed the hammer yump, has to reset it. Now, friendly person's one of those vague hints that could literally be anybody.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of options for it there. It could be Sasha, like we've been getting hints at. It could be, let's say, it could be the bottle vendor, it could be Zora, which you got the boots from. This could be a dead hint as far as we're aware of.
Yeah, because sometimes I've found with hints now sent from. Now I knew this from Zelda 1 Rando. Once the hints are added here, I knew there would be the occasional old news hint, and we have certainly seen that from time to time.
SuperNinTaylor having a little bit of a trouble managing that shot with the bow, but manages to get it. And now has another key from Eastern Palace. And will that give him enough keys to get to Helmasaur King? We've got one key left. So I believe so, that we only need one more key to get into that last straightaway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. The reason I got thrown off by key count was because last night I took a death in the turtle room that's above the dark staircase east of Hammeryump. That threw me off because I wasn't sure where I had forgotten a key, because I was thinking, oh gosh, is this a soft lock seed? Sure enough, it was that I died in the room that had the small key chests in it.
Oh no.
And in a race where you lose by only a handful of seconds, things like that come back to hurt. Believe me. It was a close one, though.
Yep. And hopefully NinTaylor and Gem won't run into any situations like that. But we got SuperNinTaylor checking out or finishing out the turtle room, in the dark turtle room, and he'll be heading over into the straightaway to Helmasaur King.
That's possible, chat, but that would be also quite weird. So now NinTaylor's in the Helmasaur King fight. Gets a fireball. You don't want to see this, because those fireballs can be tough to dodge, and it can also throw your rhythm off for phase 1.
But we've already got 2 cracks on the mask. It should be shattering pretty shortly, and Gem is right behind SuperNinTaylor, in that it will be checking out getting to the boss room as we speak. And SuperNinTaylor finishes off Helmasaur King there, and on his corpse today we will find the big key to where? The big key to Eastern Palace. We called it.
Gabe, that's just nasty. You basically forced a multi-dip for both dungeons like that. Wow.
That is hilarious. Okay, I should clarify that chat called that, not me, but even so. But at least makes routing efficient, I guess.
Yeah, not the worst multi-dip set. Uh-oh, Gem's gonna... Tight spot here. Escaped.
So, I heard you like Eastern Palace, so we're back inside there. And Jim, as we mentioned, is right behind, has picked up that big key, and will be heading onward towards that big chest and the Artemis Knights.
And Taylor's gonna get there first. The question is... Well, we shall see. And Key Sanity is known for some trolling stuff, so we just might see that happen. Oh, we got the flute!
We indeed have the flute from the Eastern Palace Big Chest. So that is going to be quite valuable in terms that it will unlock Misery Mire access to us, although we don't know what medallion it is required yet. But it will also make things getting around a lot quicker.
Absolutely. And now with that, we also, by way of the mirror, have access to Desert Palace.
You're correct. Desert is accessible through the dark room as well. Looks like this is Gem's first trip into Eastern Palace, so he is full clearing the area. A little bit more better efficiency-wise, but it will put, in terms of just pure items, SuperNinTaylor will be ahead.
Yeah, the synergy is really there between Eastern and Palace of Darkness. So if you have to go back and forth between the two with a portal, you're saving time on walking, that's for sure.
Definitely. And meanwhile, SuperNinTaylor arrows the Armos Knights to death, picks up his $50 as a prize, and has picked up the crystal from the dungeon.
Unique item held by someone friendly was the hint that was picked up. That could be a dead hint. That could still be referencing something we have not picked up. So, jury's out, I guess.
It is currently Schrodinger's hint. Alright, so NinTaylor has finished up the Palace of Darkness, Eastern Palace mirror bouncing back and forth match. And so, let's see, we've got Tower of Hera accessible to us now that we have that big key. We have Desert Palace accessible by the back door, though we don't have the big key for it yet. Swamp Palace we can fully clear once we find the hook shot. It's got still a lot of stuff inside of it as well. We can finish up Skull Woods now that we have the Fire Rod, but we don't have we don't need the big key for it. Thieves Town can't do, no big key. Ice Palace we could do, but who wants to? It's Ice Palace. No, I don't know if there's many others who like Ice Palace.
I only like Ice Palace and Go mode myself, but that's just me.
Well, we can get to Misery Mire if we have a cracked medallion. We can get there with the Flute and Titan's mitts, and we can boot jump over, I believe. So, and we have the Samaria to get to the back door. We don't have any keys for it though, which may give a problem.
Not necessarily, because if memory serves me, there are 2 small keys you can pick up from pots in Mire. There's one in the first spike room in the northeast, and there's also one in the fisheye room.
Oh, that's right. I am reminded that no keys from Mire is strictly required. If you route correctly, you can get to anywhere from anywhere else. You just have to go the long way.
And the long way can be, as we all know, can be a pain in the butt.
That is correct. Alright, so looks like SuperNinTaylor is going to be taking his Fire Rod that he found from Palace of Darkness earlier on, and is going to be finishing off Mothula.
Now, Randomizer, I would rather fight Mothula in any room but this one, because in any other room, the Mothula fight is free. In this room, the Mothula fight is one that can die in a county-wide tire fire.
That is correct. The difficulty doesn't lie with Mothula himself, but rather the true damage spikes that attack you from every side, and that conveyor belt, which makes hitting him a pain in the rear.
And Jem picks up the Turtle Rock map. Good point by chat. No Hellway chests for our runners, so hopefully there was nothing there.
Yeah, one thing Key Sanity does is that without there are no strict item requirements or limits to any dungeon. In normal modes, you can say, oh, there's 2 items in here and that's it, because there's only that many chests that have items. But with the map and compass and keys scattered about the world, there could be everything. All the chests and spots are equally valid. Ooh, but NinTaylor is doing Mothula on 2 hearts, on hard mode as well. This is going to be interesting, to say the least.
Defense is going to win this fight. Get too aggressive and you might get burned. Got caught in a spike there.
Yeah, we're doing this with Green Mail and just Master Sword, but Mothula goes down. We'll be getting a full heal off of this once we pick up the prize, which is a piece of heart and the crystal. So that's another crystal and a red crystal to boot as well. We don't know if anything interesting is inside Pyramid Fairy just yet, but it is entirely possible.
For sure. That was a clutch fight by NinTaylor. That could have gone south so quick, and he clutched it out. Nicely done.
And again, Gem is right on his toes and is going to be heading over to Mothula as we speak, refinishing that fight out, while SuperNinTaylor is checking out that last chest inside of the back of Skull Woods.
Big key for Turtle Rock. Do I hear Turtle Rock calling in our future?
Interesting. That, and we just got, I think, a check that Turtle Rock is a crystal as well.
Yeah, this could be a situation where our runners decide against Turtle Rock because they don't have the Ice Rod. Well, I've seen the Ice Rod up there a couple of times this tournament, including a couple of times within the past week, so that might be the play, but we don't know yet.
It's not something you want to do in case that you're just stuck at loggerheads without not being able to defeat the boss, but there are definitely plenty of dungeons which are self-required. But meanwhile, Gem is facing on Mafia now, doing a good job dodging the spikes so far, as he used up all of his fire rod shots just there, but takes down Mafia, no problem at all. SuperNinTaylor, meanwhile, picks up that small key from the library that we're going to need. And let's see where we go from here. Now, Nintaylor is going to be doing that Smith chain, and we saw that both of those are just going to net him a total of $600, which he's not really going to need at this point, but it's nice to have, I guess.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, it could go towards potion money, but here's the thing worth noting about potions in hard mode. 8 hearts and half your magic meter. That's what they do. Still potent, but not nearly as potent in the normal game.
That is correct. You know, it's like they do heal much less, but given that the enemies are going to be hitting harder with decreased hearts of yourself and decreased mail, you are probably going to end up finding or wanting them more often. So more money to buy potions is never a bad idea. Oh, but we have Gem heading towards the Mire and Desert Palace combo right now. I don't believe we have the key to get inside the right half of Desert Palace, but we can at least get inside of Mire and start navigating that after we check out the hut here.
And that is a rude vanilla game. Could have been either of the other medallions, but it's vanilla today. Ouch.
Ooh, yep, can't even get inside it if it's ether. So we cannot get into Misery Mire at all at the present moment, so we're going to have to settle for Desert Palace.
Gem says no thank you to the big 20.
Ooh, and then Taylor's heading over to the potion shop to pick up some potions like we were discussing.
And we got a shovel and a torch that could be to dig something up. And this old news game.
Yep, just a dead hint for Jam, as both runners have checked the specialist thief inside of there. With some bombs, so nothing there. We can't get into the right side, and we don't have the big key to get to the rest of the dungeon inside of Desert. So this trip, it got us a little bit of something, but not what we were hoping for. Unless that shovel ends up being something, which is entirely possible.
Oh, now we know Mimic Cave is a piece of heart. And that's a heart container at Checkerboard Cave.
A full heart container is nothing to sneeze at, so that's a good find right there.
Yeah, especially in hard mode.
So, what do you think about Nintaylor checking out Ice Palace at this point? We don't know if it... Well, we do know that it's a crystal, but it's a long dip, and we... well... We do know that it's a crystal, so I guess it's never a bad thing to do. Oh, good use of making Quake to get rid of those Pengators.
When you don't have Tempered Sword, that's a really good room to use Quake in to clear that out, especially when you don't have Tempered.
Yeah, Tempered Sword is what the game really wants you to have, technically. So we are going to see what else is in Ice Palace as we cross the 1 hour mark. So yeah, this is I think is the best play there. We can't really get into the into Turtle Rock without. Well, could we? No, we can't get into. Can we get into the dark side of Eastern Death Mountain without the hookshot? I don't think you can. Unless we could go around the long way.
Yeah,
but,
it would be the long way. And as much of a pain in the rear as that would be, that yields 3 locations, plus Spike Cave, that's a 4th.
So yeah, our options are the rest of Pendant Hair, which is not really desirable. The first part of Swamp Palace, which we don't have without the hookshot either. And Turtle Rock. So I guess Ice Palace is the best choice out of those 3. Alright, we've got Jim setting up the bomb jump in Ice Palace. Makes it just fine. No hookshot to take the quick way around this fire bar, but he doesn't need to. We are moving onward, and SuperNinTaylor is also in Ice Palace. Is going to be just a room or 2 ahead, and it's going to be heading down towards the bottom floors.
Do believe Nintaylor's going for the hint tile.
But it's a dead hint.
Way late on that hint.
Yep. And Jim is right behind as well. SuperNinTaylor's gonna have to set up a bomb jump to get through this section here because we do not have the hookshot and the door is locked behind.
That door never unlocks either.
Ha, and he takes out the berry along with him. Good jump there. So we've got our runners pretty much synced up at the moment in terms of where they are in Ice Palace. I think Nintaylor's checked out a couple extra locations that Jim has not gotten to yet, though I could be wrong with that. But we are picking up some bombs. We're opening up that door. We're going to check this chest. Just has 5 rupees in it. Now, we do have the Ice Palace big key, so we can still check that big key chest. We have not been over to that big key chest just yet. Or, sorry, the big chest, I should say.
Got our blue mail.
We find the blue mail inside of Ice Palace. Pretty much almost a vanilla blue mail that we would have. But that's going to be the last blue mail that they find because we are limited to just 1 level of mail inside of hard mode.
1 level's better than none, and if you want the big chest without the hook shot, you gotta drop the bomb.
Drop a bomb on me. But inside that big chest, we've got 20 bucks. Not what we were hoping for.
Yep, and the only real disadvantage to doing the bomb jump, while apparently necessary to get through the dungeon, you have to go up and around to get to the iced tea chest. Only a slight inconvenience. Gem is not even going to bother.
Yeah, you're right. He's going straight to the fight with Cold Stare, where SuperNinTaylor is taking the long way around, as you were mentioning. So here we've got Gem versus Cold Stare. We're going to be using the Bombos Medallion to unlock that crystal. And can we get that corner trap in place for... Yes, we are... Oh, but the Puffs get loose. The Puffs are on the rampage there, but one is down already, getting trapped in another corner. Then a few fire rods to the next one. A spin attack to take down the second one. And with a few more swings, that's going to be the last Puff taken down by Gem.
That was a close one, though, because Jim was in death range if he had taken another hit.
So both runners have had their shares of close calls with this race, or with this fight. But we're gonna have SuperNinTaylor being to check out onto his own fight with Cold Stare as we speak. But that's gonna be another crystal, and so that will make 1, 2, 3, 4 crystals for Gem, and soon to be 4 crystals for SuperNinTaylor as well.
It looks like Gem is purchasing a bomb upgrade and an arrow upgrade. That's a version 30 deal where the upgrades are not in the item pool. You actually have to go and find them. Or rather, buy them instead of find them.
Yep, that is correct. And we've got Gem on top of Death Mountain there. Am I spelling a Turtle Rock play here?
Well, I smell what the Turtle Rock is cooking, but that could be delayed as Hera can still be finished up for Green Pendant, and that would be the reason you'd finish it up here, Green Pendant.
I've seen way too many runs where it's been decided by whatever's lying inside of Sasha's pockets. But no, he's just passing by Hera until he absolutely has to go there, and is going straight on to Turtle Rock. I don't believe we've seen the medallion requirement for it. Is it Ether? Is it something that we already have? We are going to find out.
Yeah, well, Gem's definitely rolling the Gambamatic 9000 heavily today. Well, problem with that is, play with fire, you could get burned.
But
yes,
it is
vanilla medallions all around.
Alright, meanwhile, NinTaylor is checking out his Mire zone. Not going to be finding anything interesting in there. Cannot be accessed Misery Mire without that medallion. But we are going to see... Oh, yeah, Gem is just opting to open up the Turtle Rock entrance and just leave.
Now, he might not be leaving just yet. He's checking Super Bunny Cave, and then there is one chest and hookshot cave that you can vault to. Well, there's the Palace of Darkness key for Hellway, in case that turns out to be a thing.
It's entirely possible, but unlikely at this point. But stranger things have happened.
As NinTaylor
yep, does pick up the shovel. So we still haven't checked that yet. It's possible that something is in there. Oh, and Gem finds the big key to Thieves Town. Very interesting. So we'll now be able to check out the rest of Thieves Town and see what lies within.
Gem tried to hover there, but missed. Now, the way hovering works is there's a certain rhythm to the button tapping that works for it. Oh my! That could be Sahasrahla having Ganon's Tower Big Key. I'm calling it right now. Green Pendant for Ganon's Tower Big Key.
What other NPCs have we not checked at this point?
The only other one would be Magic Bat.
And without the powder, or even Mushroom to do fake powder with, that's sort of a 50-50 gamble on what that is, but that is a valuable hint. There is guaranteed to be one Ganon's Tower Big Key hit in Key Sanity. So we have now, that's some valuable information to find. So now inside of Turtle Rock there, we've got 3 out of the 4 small keys. So we are going to have to make that bet on whether or not something is in that lava room chest or not.
That's a fair point. Gem taking a magic refill before proceeding is going for magic cape strats, which is what you have to do to get through this run quick, because the swag cane dash with the blue cane is not going to work on hard mode.
That is right there. The cane of Burna, which we don't even have yet, will still damage enemies, but no longer grants you invincibility. Speaking of invincibility, SuperNinTaylor is wishing he had some right now. He will use the cape to get through as much as he can. Well, after he tanks up as much as he can with just normally, because we are in Spike Cave.
Barely had enough to get through that, and it's a pod small key. Well, Gem gets the big key for Desert Palace.
Ooh, that may or may not be big. We know that Hera is a pendant. I believe we still have 2 pendants to go, and we don't know what Desert Palace is, we don't know what Thieves Town is, and we don't know what Swamp Palace is. So one of those 3 is a crystal, and the other 2 are pendants.
Yep, so it's a 1 in 3 chance. I think the first one I would go for personally would be Desert, being the shorter dungeon. We cannot finish Swamp Palace, so even so, we would need the hook shot for that. And that would be Thieves Town as the second option. And okay, for a second I thought Taylor was going to skip Hera, but nope. Going in, and should he turn in the green pendant, I think he's going to be mighty pleased.
There's pretty good odds from that with all the Hera care package inside of Sasha's hut. The game is not directly telling us that Sasha has the key there, but it's winking at us and smiling suggestively, so there's a good odds on it.
Yep, the old wink wink nudge nudge, as Gem is not setting up for Mimic Cave, opting to not get the piece of heart, instead going for the big chest, well, we're about to find, well, now we will know what Thieves Town is once we get out of here. Nice bomb jump by NinTaylor, just for 3 bombs though.
Alright, some good movement through the small roller room for Gem, whereas SuperNinTaylor is heading up towards Moldorm. Now, you'd like to have Tempered here, but I mean, it's an easy fight either way. You can just use hammer strats to take him down easily without sending him into rage mode. So, yeah, this is a fairly easy fight. It just will take a little bit more finesse than normal.
And it's a fight that requires finesse to begin with, because if you get greedy, Moldorm could just kick you off the ledge, and then you have to restart the fight. Now,
He's got his green pendant.
Yeah, they did fix that for the Link Between Worlds version of this fight, by the way, for those who are curious about the sequel. Well, rather, the direct sequel to this film.
Alright, we find 2 keys to Misery Mire inside of the laser bridge right now, and then the last chest we've got even more money. So 2 keys to Misery Mire, and that's it as far as laser bridge is concerned. I'm going to be taking the safety door, but that's about all that we can do right now without the ice rod. So we are just mirroring back to the light world and going to be checking out of Death Mountain entirely, and going to see where he goes next.
I don't think Gem is checking out of Death Mountain, though. I think he's going back up to take care of Hera. I think the way NinTaylor went about it made a bit more sense, but that's just me.
It does save another trip up the mountain, but it's not the biggest time loss in the world, but it still is a little less efficient. As NinTaylor is going to be finishing up here, or entering Death Mountain, the Turtle Rock in the first place.
I have a feeling Gem's going to be turning in the green pendant first, but there's also the one-off shovel item that we have not seen yet. It'll be interesting to see if that turns into something.
Well, right now we're still looking for the ice rod, as we know that Turtle Rock is a crystal. We know we're looking for the silver arrows, ideally. That's not technically a requirement, but who likes doing spin strats on Ganon if you don't have to? We need the hook shot to be able to finish the game, I'm pretty sure.
Unless you're Randy.
And I think that's it in terms of items. We can get in the back entrance of some desert palace if that turns out to be crystal. So the book is not really required unless something ends up being on one of the tablets.
And Taylor's setting up for a hover. Does he have the rhythm to carry it over? Oh, he got halfway.
Halfway is pretty good. That's a fairly long hover to make. And he's going for it again, seeing if there's anything in that second chest. But yeah, as you said there, like hovering is almost a frame-perfect trick for every step you take.
Jim takes down Moldor.
All right, so let's see if Gem decides to hold on to Green Pendant or turn it in immediately. Given that he got that hint that the big key of Ganon's Tower is held by someone friendly, I would not be surprised if he goes to spend it right away. But it looks like Gem is going back and going to be checking out Spike Cave like SuperNinTaylor did earlier.
And Taylor took a bit of a wrong turn there, because the only way that route works is when you have the hook shot. Otherwise, you're doing the slow route.
Pretty much. So it could be a, well, yep, 2 and 3 and 4, and we are at the exit.
Something I just saw in chat. Yeah, well, I have not tried it personally in the English version. It does work in terms of, yeah, you can bomb jump in all versions of the game, as far as I'm aware. At least for the SNES. I couldn't tell you about the GBA version, but we don't really talk about that version. Anyway, Gem is turning in the green pendant. What do we got?
Well, that's our 4th key to Turtle Rock, so we can now full clear that dungeon once we have the Ice Rod. But that eliminates the list of NPCs that can hold the Ganon's Tower big key to, I believe you said, the Magic Bat. So that is locked behind the powder, or mushroom if you decide to fake powder, which is indeed also unknown at this point.
Yeah, the powder could quite literally be anywhere outside of Ganon's Tower at this point. Or if we get up to Ganon's Tower and that's where the powder is, then we have a mandatory double dip. Wow, what was that sprite that just came up? It looked like a double dip 20.
I'm not sure. Well, it turned out to be a big 20 regardless, but that was somewhat of an interesting graphical glitch there. Alright, so our next play is that we're going over to Desert Palace. Going to be checking out that big chest and go and fight the land moles to see what is on their tails today.
Yep. I mean, there's a couple of options you could take. I mean, you could take an intentional death. I mean, I saw a suggestion of taking an intentional death, then checking, and if it's not what you're after, reset. I mean, that's possible, but, well, time-consuming.
Oh, and SuperNinTaylor is checking out that lava chest, but it just has 20 rupees on it. So with that is going to be his last key. He's spending his last key to get the laser bridge and won't be able to move on to Trinex. Not that he can really defeat him in the first place, but he's going to have to hunt down that last Turtle Rock key, which we thankfully know is in Sasha's pockets.
Yep, so that'll be a nice pickup, and thanks for pointing that out, chat. That glitched Big 20 sprite was actually a mail or a shield upgrade, and since we're at level 2 for both of them, we're not going to know the specifics of that.
Alright, looks like NinTaylor is going to be heading towards, bypassing Mimic Cave, as we know that's just a heart piece, and is going to be heading over towards the Lace Bridge very shortly. But meanwhile, Gem is fighting the land molus here. Let's see, opting for the fire rod strats. A little bit low on magic, but should be able to finish them off with arrows pretty easily as well.
That's something I need to practice because I have lost my touch with the arrows over the years. Could actually do it as a kid, but not now as an adult.
And Desert Palace turns out to be a crystal. We now know that Swamp Palace and Thieves Town are both pendants. They may still be required because we need that powder to find the Ganon's Tower Big Key, which is behind Magic Bat. I believe we've narrowed it down to. Unless there's some other NPC that I've forgotten about.
Well, there was one that chat brought up that got me to thinking. The mushroom. Maybe the mushroom has to be turned in for that key.
Ooh, that's right. We have not found the mushroom to do to turn into the witch there. So we've got 2 fetch quest items that both have a 50-50 shot of being the Ganon's Tower Big Key. Now, if this isn't an interesting seed, I don't know what is.
Well, if anything, Keith Sanity does have some of the more interesting seeds in Randomizer.
And that's why I love it. I'm trash at running it, but I love it nonetheless.
Yep, that's what makes Randomizer Randomizer.
Now, if we want to get like super trolly, we still don't know what's on the pedestal. That could have either of those fetch quest items, which could be turned into either of those NPCs, one of which might have the Ganon's Tower Big Key. So if you wanted a convoluted chain of events, we can make it even better.
So Nintaylor's back in the pod area despite having... Is he heading for Harmless Hellway?
I think he just wants that one chest in their Alpha's mind so he doesn't have to return here back ever again. Because it's entirely possible that there's something interesting is back there. And it's so out of the way. Oh, no, he's turning in the green pendant and he's going to be getting his Turtle Rock Big Key. He might be going back to Palace of Darkness as well, though.
Also picking up some recovery hearts for his trouble.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be full clearing the rest of Palace of Darkness so that we can have the place just crossed off entirely.
Yeah, full clear is better than just leaving one thing behind, that's for sure.
Alright, let's see. We've gotten Gem into the main room of Swamp. Going to be checking out the loop-de-loop here inside of Swamp Palace. And then our left side. We've not received any hints about what's on the left side, so we are going to have to just do a full clear regardless. And there's a mushroom.
That's a pretty good place. You think about it, that's a pretty good place for a mushroom. It's a dank place, and that's great for mushrooms to grow. And there's the Desert Palace small key, so we did have to go into Swamp if you wanted a full clear desert.
And we still have those 2 chests in the desert to look at, so this is I'm sorry, I'm just still hung up that we have 50-50 fetch quest items requiring that it will eventually lead to the Ganon's Tower Big Key.
And breaking news from chat, Hellway is 100% absolutely, undeniably, totally, and completely required because the Ether Medallion was there.
Well, call me Thor and bring down the lightning because we are going into Misery Mire with that Ether pickup.
And a frozen bird. Already got her dinner for next Thanksgiving.
Throw the bird. Throw the bird. Do it. Yes, we threw the bird.
Oh, that's dinner for the fishes tonight.
All right, well, this is going to be our first look inside of Misery Mire. If the ice rod ends up being here, that's going to be a big advantage for Taylor.
We could also have some other stuff in here too, like you could also wind up having the actual powder here, which would eliminate the need for a fake powder or a hookshot.
I guess that's right there. With just the mushroom and no powder, Jim can check both NPCs, one through the fake powder glitch, and one just by turning in the mushroom in afterwards. Of course, if the item ends up being behind the powder, then we won't. Then the game won't really logically require it. But it's a good way to get both items with just one.
And now we can full clear all of Thieves Town thanks to that small key that Jim just found in Swamp.
Did Jim just check both chests in left side there? I only caught one, but I probably did two.
He went for two.
Okay, I must have been looking at NinTaylor's screen at that time. But Jem is heading back into Desert Palace. Let's see what those two key or chests on the right side will hold for us today.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting for Key Sanity, because sometimes you'll find something that your opponent doesn't find right away. And NinTaylor just got the hint for what's in Big Swamp Palace. Jem's been there, he hasn't. So that could be some exceedingly helpful information for him.
Indeed, it might give him a good routing advantage there. But chest number 1 inside of Desert Palace is just 5 rupees there. Chest number 2 inside of is just 20 rupees. So that was a little bit of a wild goose chase. And we are going to get out.
So it goes, and Jem is flying the coop.
Looks like we're going to be setting up that fake powder glitch to check what the magic bat has. Yep, getting the magic cape ready to drain all of the magic, and then using a small glitch, we will be able to trick the game into thinking that the mushroom is actually the powder. All right there, and today Mr. Battenton has for us a curse of the big key to Ganon's Tower.
It was the powder, and by fake powdering, he's got it.
Now I just want to know where that powder actually is there. If we just skipped a pedestal check because we fake powdered past it, well, it would be a smart choice, but a little bit disappointing nonetheless.
Watch it be vanilla. Because Jem just turned it in. If it's vanilla, I'm gonna laugh. No, it's actually a bottle. Even better.
Ooh, so Jem, no, that's right. Jem just picked up the of there. I got my runners mixed up there because SuperNinTaylor is currently inside of Misery Mire and is heading towards the basement to go and take on Vitreous after clearing out that last section. So yeah, and we are going up to, let's see, I believe he still needs Jem still needs to find that ether medallion that was in the Harmless Hellway of Palace of Darkness.
Jem is making the turn for Thieves Town first, able to full clear it, and you might as well, because Blind could be holding something too. And not just a bad pun either.
You're correct there. We still need that hook shot and we still need that ice rod. Although, since Swamp Palace is a pendant there, do we technically need the hookshot to get... I'm remembering something in Ganon's Tower requiring it, but I'm not positive. Yes, we needed to get past Moldorm too.
Yep.
Well, you could hover over there, but as far as the game's concerned, and as far as people's sanity, you're going to want that hookshot.
Yeah. And Jem just got the hint about a bottle requiring the mushroom as NinTaylor takes a big old gulp of potion. When you're fighting Vitreous and you don't want to use arrows, I can't blame you. Because you're not going to be able to use silvers in hard mode if you had them, because silvers only work against Ganon in hard mode.
Yep, that's right. They only work inside of Ganon's room. And I seem to remember there being one other minor place where it does, but I can't remember where that is right now.
Would be news to me, as I've not heard of such a thing. But either way, NinTaylor takes down Vitreous, but only gets 5 rupees. And yes, I agree, that fight is bugs.
There's a pun somewhere in there involving eyes and butts, but I can't really think of it right now.
That might be for the better. But yeah, I do believe SNT saw the hint as well. So... And it looks like NinTaylor is heading straight for the back of Desert Palace with the mirror. It's a pretty smart time save right there.
That's a pretty swag way of doing it. So good job for NinTaylor to be able to set up that mirror. Let's see inside of Thieves Town. We just have 10 arrows inside of the big chest. Nothing interesting so far. So I believe we'll be heading over to Blind shortly.
I just had a random thought. Pedestal might not have been totally skipped if it turns out the Ice Rod is there, or the Book of Medora is there, and the Ice Rod is on a tablet. So Pedestal is not dead yet, folks.
That would be super rude in that case, but it's entirely possible. And the more places we check, the more likely it becomes.
There's also one more chest in Castle Tower we have yet to see. And we've got simultaneous boss hit. Blind had the Ice Rod!
Blue Pendant Holder had the blue rod. Alright, so we have interesting situations here. NinTaylor has the Ether Medallion and has full cleared Misery Mire, but Jem has full cleared Thieves Town and now has the Ice Rod to be able to take down the rest of Turtle Rock. So each of them have a dungeon that the other one has not done that is actually required.
Wow. Even a hit that says Ice Rod is on a boss would have pushed him in the right direction, I think.
Alright, and with that, Jem is making the trek back up Death Mountain to take down Trindax and the rest of Turtle Rock. But we'll still need to find that Ether Medallion back inside of Palace of Darkness. But on the other side there, NinTaylor needs to decide to go and finish off Thieves Town to get that Ice Rod. And right now, he's checking out the Pyramid Fairy.
Well, we haven't seen Pyramid Fairy, and this could work out as the hook shot could be there. Powder could be there. Both could be there, or none of them could be there. We shall see.
Taylor, you just dropped a bomb, sir.
You dropped a bomb on us. No, he debated us by respawning the bomb.
Okay, that's always fun to see. I'm always a little bit confused on how it exactly works here, but who cares? We made some good time making that bomb respawn, and we are inside the Pyramid Fairy room, and inside we are going to have 20 bucks and a small key to Castle Tower. Interesting. We're at the pyramid. Why not check it out?
Right. At this point, got no reason to not, because it's right there. and you just need one key for that second chest. That second chest could be something, so you might as well just knock it out of the way here and now.
I don't think that NinTaylor has been inside of Castle Tower yet before. I believe that was Jim who checked out the first chest.
That it was. And Fire Rod certainly does make things easier as the guards. Well, chestnuts roasting on an open fire, anyone?
Pretty much. Yeah, it's like you want to give yourself a way to roast yourself? Wear some metal armor.
Yep, that'll do it every time.
Alright, Jim decides to check out the lava chest while we're here in Turtle Rock. But that's not going to have our way forward. So he is going to have to see what is on top of Trinex.
Neither did NinTaylor. However, what he picked up could be key. He found the Tempered Sword. That could be the difference between victory and defeat, especially if Gem does not find another sword upgrade.
Ooh, I was looking at Gem's screen. Where did he find that sword at?
That was the second chest, Castle Tower.
Ooh, that is a big upgrade in terms of power. But it looks like Taylor's heading into Thieves Town and is going to be picking that ice rod once he finishes full clearing that. After we finish that dungeon on his side there, I believe he'll have the ice rod and will be able to be essentially... Well, we still need that hook shot. And it could be on Trinex, it could be somewhere else entirely. We don't know.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. There's one other solution we got to look at now. Right side Ganon's Tower.
Well, one other thing is that NinTaylor does not have the Ganon's Tower big key yet. I'm not sure if he's seen that hint or not. I think he has, but I'm not positive.
I'm certain he has too, because that hit, I think, was at the start of Turtle Rock.
Yep, that's ringing some bells for me. That sounds about right. So we are going to have to see if he can make that 50-50 shot. Well, he hasn't been into Swamp for the mushroom yet, and he doesn't. If he'll logically know that he'll need either the mushroom or the powder. Although you only just need the mushroom in this case, as we saw on Gem's side. But meanwhile, we've got Gem taking on Trinex right now.
I like the use of the hammer here, because the hammer is going to do Tempered Sword damage and speed things up as if you were in a typical NMG setting. Opts to use the Fire Rod to finish off Phase 1.
Yeah, not only does the Fire Rod stun, it also does do damage to the elemental heads.
Not sure of the math on the specific damage, though, but it does happen.
Alright, but Trinex goes down, and inside of Trinex, we loot from his corpse the red boomerang.
Certainly not a bad item to pick up for hitting switches at a distance, but in hard mode, that's pretty much all it's used for, as well as collecting.
Alright, so NinTaylor is taking down Blind as we speak. Gem is still looking for that Ether Medallion, which is back in Palace of Darkness. He's already full cleared Swamp, and he can't get into Mire, so he's got to be thinking that either... Well, it looks like he's heading off to the Pyramid himself.
I disagree. That's looking like Castle Tower to me, and the only thing he's going to get out of that chest, well, it's not going to be what he wants to find, but it's something that he'll certainly be able to make use of.
So really the question is, will NinTaylor be able to finish all of Turtle Rock and get inside of Ganon's Tower before Gem finds that Ether Medallion and finishes all of Misery Mire? It's sounding a bit unlikely at this point because it's a long trek over to Palace of Darkness and a longer trek to finish up Misery Mire in its entirety.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. And Taylor never picked up the mushrooms, so he's not going to have the G Tower big key, so we could be looking at a potential G Tower double dip.
Ooh, that's always not what you want to find there, because that is a long basement to go clear out.
Even longer for seeds where you don't have the mirror.
Now, it's entirely possible that the silvers and/or hookshot could be in the basement of Ganon's tower.
And the shroom was in Swamp Palace's south chest.
Oh, but Gem is making the correct play and is heading back towards Palace of Darkness to go clear out that final chest inside, which is going to have his key to the rest of the dungeons.
Yep, then Taylor is going for the... Well, he's going for the right play, but he's not going to find the big key in Ganon's tower, unfortunately, because we already found it.
Well, he's gotten the hint that the key is on someone friendly, so he should know that it's somewhere out in the overworld. Right, he has not, maybe he's still looking for making the bet that the mushroom and/or powder are in Ganon's tower. I mean, well...
it's not a bad idea, but unfortunately, for the mushroom part of it, it's not the right play. However, if he does find the powder there, the right play then would be to mirror out and set up a portal up top so he can easily get back up there. Well, he'd still have to go the long way around, but... can't be helped.
Now, one interesting question remains is that, although, hold on, I'm still thinking about it. We've gotten the tempered sword from the castle tower. We still need that hookshot somewhere. So, well, and we know that the mystery mire doesn't hold anything. Nope, don't remember exactly where I was going with that. Never mind.
And another frozen bird. But, more importantly, the big question is, who finds what first? Does Taylor find the hookshot first? The powder first? Or does Gem find the hookshot in go mode?
Well, we're going to have to find out there. We already know that there's nothing of importance here in Misery Mire. But Gem does not know that. As far as he's concerned, either the Silver Arrows or Hookshot could still be in here somewhere. And if he's following the logic, he knows that the powder is required to beat the game, but he doesn't really care for that really much right now because the mushroom doesn't really lock any. I'm sorry, the powder doesn't really lock anything else aside from the Mad Bat, which he's already got.
There is one other thing to note about the powder in hard mode, is that the powder does turn the anti-fairies over, but they only turn over to recovery hard.
Yes, that is correct. Fairies still heal the same amount there, but you can't turn anti-fairies into fairies now, unfortunately.
And on one heart, down goes Trinex.
We are having a lot of very slim boss victories here today.
Yeah, when it comes to these slim boss victories, well, you play with fire and you get burned. I think the last slim boss victory I saw before today was a perfect one heart kill of Ganon, where the runner only had like one heart the entire time.
Oh, wow.
And Taylor making his way over to Ganon's tower, which I mean, right now it's seeming to me like the powder's here, and the mushroom glitch skipped a double dip. That's what it's looking like to me right now.
That is very likely there, because the only other really overworld place that we have checked is would be the pedestal at the moment. I'm having trouble thinking of something else that it might be, and that either we would have to like double dip double dip Ganon's Tower for the hook shot, which we just find in the first and the book.
Hey, you want to run outside and check the ether tablet just for the heck of it?
Well, now you can. But he's going to be checking this entire dungeon for that big key, and he's not going to be able to find it. And once Gem finds finishes Misery Mire, he is going to be essentially in go mode, although he's going to be restricted to spin strats for Ganon itself.
Well, to be fair, 12 spins for the 4th phase of Ganon is a lot better than the 24 I did last night.
Ooh, that does not sound like fun.
Well, I was ahead. Well, I didn't see a dot done in the IRC, and I decided, you know what? We got a shot at this. Let's leave it all on the line and go for it. And I lost by 13 seconds. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. It was very close.
Alright, so Gem is heading over into the basement. Then Taylor is deciding to just finish that right side and check out, then go into Hookshot Cave. Or it looks like Hookshot Cave. Is that where the play is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can still check those other 2 sections right now. Just in case something is in those last 2 chests that he was unable to check. Or 3 chests.
Ain't a burner. Pocket change. And pocket change.
Well, burner is situationally useful, but that's not really what we want at this point. So back inside of GT we go. It was a small field trip, but not the longest in the world.
Not so fast. Ether tablet.
That's right, we now have that book. We can do a quick check here. So let's go and blow up a monument, and let's see what we get.
Just couch cash, move right along. And interesting strat by Gem, using the very far right side of the room to avoid damage and clear out phase 1. I did not know that was the thing.
And he's got arrows to spare as well. Alright, but Gem finishes up Misery Mire. Though he doesn't know it, he's essentially in go mode minus the silver arrows. So as soon as he heads into Ganon's Tower and finds that hookshot in the first chest, he can just go right back to the entrance and head up the gauntlet.
And in that case, that would be GG on a race that has been very close for the vast majority of it. Yeah, an extra blue potion for the road for SuperNinTaylor. Yummy inputs are the worst, chat, I tell ya.
Oh,
there's the powder!
Yep.
SuperNinTaylor, you've got your powder. It was a double dip of the dungeon that was required. But,
well, logic are required in any case, but yes, required.
He saw the hit, so why is he continuing? Or did he forget about the hit?
I guess he's hoping to find the mushroom in here as well, or perhaps the silver arrows? I don't think the silver arrows would save him that much time.
Silvers would save him about a minute, but at this rate, that would... The time difference would not make sense.
I am not entirely sure what else you could find in here that would be terribly useful.
Well, there's
you could
beeswax.
find. Well, go and unleash the bees upon Ganon. Everyone knows that he hates bees.
Well, he found it, but unfortunately, Gem's going right side, and that's gonna give Gem a massive lead. As there's the hook shot, putting him in go mode. It's all afternoon. This has been such a close race, but now it's less about the exploration and more about the execution as Gem begins the gauntlet.
That's right. Stranger things have happened there. We have seen some races decided by a Ganon fall, so it's entirely possible that it's happening. But with each increasing second, it becomes less and less likely.
Well, last night was also for me decided by the fact that I failed on the first try of Silver the Master Sword. Rip. But that was then, this is now.
Yep, we are in this race currently here, so we've got Gem up and past the big key door. We are into the gauntlet officially now, and then Taylor will be quick behind him as he has that big key. He's going to be climbing Death Mountain once again, and will be up in right on Gem's heels.
Not so fast, it's a potion stop. I don't blame him. Now, the reason Gem is ahead is because he used the fake powder glitch to access Magic Bat early. The seed wanted you to double dip Ganon's tower for the power.
That is correct, and he found that powder by doing a half clear of Swamp Palace, which Taylor has not even set foot in as of yet.
Meanwhile, Gem in trouble.
He's got to chug his potion early. Those Beamos are doing a number on him.
Yeah, that's one thing about Gauntlet that tends to be pretty nasty. The Beamos.
And there are a lot of things in here that will just slow you down and make you just a sitting duck for those Beamos. Be it ice or be it conveyors, they are just not fun in the Gauntlet.
Gem just missing the one cycle, but gets the two nicely. Here comes SuperNinTaylor, starting the gauntlet climb. Or rather, the climb. Getting a little ahead of myself.
Yep. Gem misses one of the shots on the Samaria Wizrobe kills there, but it was just a simple sword swipe. Didn't have to wait another cycle for them to reappear. It goes through the conveyor bridge. The guards don't know how to walk around corners. And so we are into the Firebar Torch Room. Oh, missed that. Hopefully he'll still have plenty of time. Yep, we'll just pull out a fire rod. We'll have just enough magic to finish that off. And refill in the next room. Should be just fine.
Oh man, he stopped at just the right frame, because if he had gone straight up, he might have despawned the tower rather than the top of it.
That is always something you have to watch out for, although the specifics of it escape me at the moment.
It's a frame-perfect glitch, where if you manage to somehow go up the stairs at the same frame as the door closes in the other room, you soft lock the game, as you can't get up the tower as Gem gets troll-dormed into the spikes.
Alright, so we got round 2 versus the Big Worm. Gotten one good hit on him, and another one will take him down. So Gem finishes Moldorm 2 just as soon as Taylor finishes Landmolus 2, so it's not a big difference between the two, so it might still come down to the Aga 2 and Ganon fight. We'll see how much of a time difference it is between them.
Yep, I mean, all it could take is Taylor to get a double triple, and Gem does it, and the margin suddenly shrinks a little bit.
All right, there. That seems to be a double for the first round. We've got a good setup for the second. Oh, gets hit by the orb. So we're going to have to go back to round 3. All right, so
triple double's pretty darn good.
All right, so Gem is going to be leaving Aga 2 here and going to be entering the Ganon fight around 155.30-ish or so. I'm going to call it like 55.30, 55.40, somewhere around there. Looking like 55.40 at this rate.
Oh, but Taylor got the silvers. We got a race, folks.
Oh my, he found the silvers in the lead up here. That is going to be critical here. Will the lead that Gem have outweigh the speed that the silver arrows will give? This could come down to the very end, folks.
The Gem's gonna one-cycle phase 2, and then it comes down to 12 spins. Does Taylor have enough time to pull this off?
And that was a masterful dodging of all those fire bats in close proximity to each other. I see a lot of players just hit Cookshot to the torch to make use of those invincibility frames. But, alright, Taylor's heading up to the top of the tower. He's past Moldorm 2. Just gotta get through this last room of conveyors and ice. But meanwhile, Gem is entering phase 4 of the fight momentarily, just cleaning up the last side of there, and Ganon taunts, and I was like, "Hey, did you remember finding those arrows that I hid in there?" I was like, "No, I was in a hurry." Well, too bad for you.
Taylor with a triple. This is a setup for a double triple, and he got it. He double triple for SuperNinTaylor.
And Gem is just down to 2 hearts. I'm not sure if he's got any potions left, and has to do spin strats the entire way, and has to finish Ganon the long way.
It's not the longest way, mind you, but it's still a long way. Oh, but SuperNinTaylor runs out of time as we have bacon for Gem. He's going to get out of here with a very close race win. And what's the official time? That was a close one.
Indeed, there we've got, well, unofficially by Gem's timer, we've got 157.44. Do you have the official SRL time on hand?
157.45.
Well, GG to Gem. This was an incredibly tight race up to the finish with that Ganon Tower Big Key proving to be the final piece in the puzzle. Although Taylor did make it close by finding those silvers.
Taylor also made it close with a double triple. I'm not sure if he's done that before. I haven't seen too many of those, but it's always something impressive to see when a runner pulls that off.
Yep, that's pretty much the shortest you can finish that fight in. And gets a triple arrow to Ganon's noggin to finish off the fight.
So we got bacon by Taylor. What a race between these two runners. Get your GGs in chat, folks.
Well, I would say that was an amazing race down there. Hookshot being inside of Ganon's tower, making everyone search practically everywhere for it. And that Ganon's tower Big King being on Magic Bat, of course, with Powder being in Ganon's tower and fake powdering from the Mushroom and Swamp to be able to get to it early.
Yep, the official time for SuperNinTaylor was 1:58:52, a difference of 67 seconds. What a race.
Indeed. Let's see if we can get either of them into the chat here into the room here for an interview if they so desire. In the meantime, while we wait for them, I will say that we should have, starting any minute now, over on Speed Gaming 4, we've got a race between Shady Force and Mekon on All Dungeons Hard Key Sanity Seed. Uncle Assured as well. So if you're interested for more random today, we've got that coming up in mere minutes with another race on ALTTP Randomizer Twitch channel with Summon 325 versus Zero Rush in a swordless race.
Actually, I just checked the Speed Gaming calendar, and that aforementioned Zelda 3 random race is going to be on Speed Gaming 3 starting any moment now.
All right, I see SuperNinTaylor in the waiting room. Let me see if I can go get him real quick. And we are joined by SuperNinTaylor. A good game on your amazingly close finish.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad it was at least close in the end.
Yeah, it certainly was. In fact, it was close the whole way. Both of you were on each other's heels for the majority of the race, but what made the difference at the end is the Swamp Palace dive that Gem made, and then fake powdering the Magic Bat, which saved him from what turned out to be a double dip of Ganon's Tower. But on the flip side, you pulled out the silver arrows, which he did not. And you also had a double triple on Aga too.
Yeah, I felt like I had a pretty solid end game. Like the Ganon fight, Aga fight, even the climb was decent. I kind of wish I mirrored right when I thought about it. I got that powder and I was like, I figured it was either the bat or the witch. And I was scared of mirroring and checking the bat and having it be like the witch that had the item. So I was just gonna go to Rando Room to check for the mushroom first. But I don't know. Might have been different if I just mirrored out right away.
Well, understandably so. Can't blame you for making that check.
Yeah, that is another. Let's see. What room did you find the powder in again?
I think it was the... I don't know what the room is called. The Lonely Spinning Fire Bar after the hookshot room.
That's right. Yep. Okay. From there, yeah,
it's
you've
like
got
a vanilla map. Or
yeah, it's just the next room over. So it's not the biggest side trip in the world.
No. Yeah, it was an unfortunate loss. Like, would have been nice to win that one because would have given me a little bit more room to make brackets. At this point, it's going to be really difficult, if not almost impossible. I mean, it's not impossible. Just fate's no longer in my own hands. Even if I did beat Gem, it wasn't completely in my hands. But now I'm like heavily relying on other people to take out Mekon. So I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. There. This would you have a bit of a long road ahead of you, but you're not eliminated just yet. So just keep trying as best as you can. And this is Rando. Strange things can happen.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess Shady Force is my best friend right now. So I need him to give a little whooping to Mekon.
So now one question that I've got, what did you think about the whole rest of the seed? It seemed like we had a pretty good start to everything overall.
I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of Key Sanity, but I felt like I was actually playing it decently well, the seed. So I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, we had early access to Dark World as soon as we found that Moon Pro. It wasn't terribly all that hidden. Gloves and hammer, like right off the bat. Now, one other thing that did come into play there is that you ended up checking the Harmless Hellway first, and going back there before Gem did. So you had the Ether tablet and was able to, or Ether medallion, and was able to clear out Misery Mire far before Gem did. So that helped you catch up a whole lot in terms of being able to get close back to him. Is there any particular reason that you decided to route that chest a bit earlier than later?
Well, I got the green pendant from Moldorm, and I didn't really get anything else in Hera, so I kind of wanted the green pendant to be something. Plus, I also got that hint that the Ganon Tower Big Key was on someone friendly, so I thought maybe it might be Sahasrahla. So I was like, I'm just gonna go there and get it. And then when I was there, I was like, I might as well bring the Dark World with me and just quickly check that one chest I missed. And when it was Ether, I was so happy I went back for that.
Yeah, that did save you a lot of time there. We were convinced that the big key was on Sasha for such a long time, given that he told you that Hera was a green pendant. He gave you the big Hera big key in his closet, and we got the hint that the big key was on an NPC. I was like, this has got to be on Sasha, but nope, was not. Just a small key.
Yeah, that was my thinking too. I went to talk to him after I had the green pendant, and I was like, that's the wrong size key. But it's whatever.
Well, it certainly worked out into one heck of a race, and sometimes the close ones just don't fall your way. I had a really close one go the other way on me last night, so yeah, that's rando. It's gonna happen. You just have to bounce back for the next one. And speaking of, don't you have another race tonight?
Oh yeah, I do. It's against Nikon, actually. That's pretty much do or die. Like, I have to win that. If I lose, I'm out. Even if I win, I'm probably still out. But that's like a 100% must win. So I need to beat him, and I need a couple other people to beat him as well.
Well, yeah, we are coming up towards the ends of the group stages pretty soon. So best of luck to you in that regard.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim says that they are without a mic right now, so we will not be getting them in for an interview, unfortunately. But we are always glad to have talked with you about everything and getting your opinions on the seed. Anything else you'd like to add before we start to wrap up?
No, I mean, I had fun. And GG to Jim. Hope he kicks butt if I don't advance with him. And thank you for commentating and the restreamers, and thanks for the people rooting for a close race. But yeah, that's about it from me.
Hey, this was a lot of fun to be able to commentate, because I really enjoyed it. It was a nice close race the whole way, and I love races like that because, yeah, those are fun for everyone.
Yeah. All right, I'm out of here.
All right, thank you so much for your time and for giving us such an entertaining race to watch and to call for. But sure. I believe we're going to be starting to wrap up here. As always, thank you to our behind-the-scenes people, thank you to our trackers, and thank you to our restreamers, and of course, thank you to Speed Gaming for being able to host this tournament here for us. And also, thank you to my co-commentator, Leslie Pro 04.
Thanks for being a part of this, guys. Phantom Fox, this was a heck of a lot of fun, because I love it when the races are this close, as I said. And speaking of races, I've got one that I have to be setting up for very soon, in like about 30-35 minutes. So, well, let's hope that one turns out to be just as close and as much fun.
Well, good luck in that race there, and we will wish everyone the best. But that is going to do it for us today. As I mentioned, there are plenty of speed of rando going on later on today, so make sure to watch those out there. I have been Phantom Fox. I've been joined by Leslie Pro 04. So thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a good night, and catch us if you can.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.